Okay, I'm just getting the rear swing arms ready so I can tidy them up, having got them off the car while I was doing the body realignment, and I thought I'd show you my methodology for getting the bushes out. This isn't my own trick. I think I got this one from Ed China. Look him up, he's just started a new YouTube channel of his own with some awesome stuff going on. But this is the grab random things around the garage when you don't have a press methodology. So what I've got is an impact socket that's larger than the bush but smaller than the diameter of the mount that the bush is sitting in. And I have a bolt which is not quite long enough, but this is an 8mm bolt because these are 5/8 bushes, so it'll go through the lot. So I've ground down the top a little. You have a look in there. So it sits in the 1/2-inch hole of the socket. So just hold that in there. I've got a 10mm flange nut I'm going to use. No, I'm not. I'm going to use a spring washer and 8mm nut to go with the 8mm bolt. Put that on there and get started. We will firstly, before I do that, importantly, put some lubrication around the edge. I'm just using some cutting fluid because it was handy. Use dishwashing liquid, whatever you have around, just something to lubricate the rubber as it pulls through the mount. And then I'll get started with the impact socket. Right, that's now well through, and then get the rest of the way back with the hammer. Obviously this is for taking them out, not putting them in, because it is not nice on the bush. Okay, so I've now cleaned up these swing arms, hit them with some rust converter, and then gave them a satin black enamel coat over the top. As you can see, I've already put the bushes in one of them, and I thought I'd show you how that goes together for the other one. So first thing you want to do is grease up the arm and the bush. Here. These bushes are poly bushes. They are the solid type, so they are in one piece, but there is a steel insert in them. To get the bush in nice and easily, I take the steel insert out, and you can do this with the vise. However, these being the comfort grade bushes are reasonably soft, and I can actually press it in with my hand just like so. So that's all in there now. I'll just put some grease on the steel sleeve as well, and a little bit in the hole so it covers. Incidentally, I'm using silicone grease for this. Everything I've looked at sort of indicates, without saying it outright, that the poly grease you get is just silicone grease. However, don't take my word for that. I'm not 100% sure. But if this all starts squeaking, I'll know why. Right, so that's all done. one more to do. So let's put that last one in. Again, take the steel insert out. A little hard to do when you've got silicone grease everywhere. Put some grease on the bearing and a little bit in the hole, and just push it in with your hand. There we go. Just like that. Some grease on the sleeve. And that's another arm complete. Right. So if we have a closer look there, we have nice painted up arm, the bush is in place with the steel insert in the middle, all ready to go back on the car. Now the last thing I need to do before it goes back on is these brackets that go that the arm's attached to also need to clean up. I forgot to do it when I was doing everything else, but never mind, we'll get there. I'm cleaning these brackets right back to bare metal so I can finish them all nicely. To do that, I've got a wire wheel for my angle grinder, as you can see, and I've also got some wire brushes to attach to my drill to get into the tight corners and get all that paint off so we get a nice new clean finish and there's no rust hiding anywhere. I'm just using a two-coat process on these brackets. So first up, I'm just cleaning everything off and coating it with some rust converter as the primer coat. And now I'm cleaning things off ready for the second coat, which is just some enamel satin black to go over everything and give it a good protection layer. Okay, so here we have the passenger side set up, and what we need to do is attach the swing arm bracket, or radius arm as I just looked up in the book, and that's what they're calling it. Attach the radius arm bracket, and including putting the shims back on, and then fit the radius arm itself to the bracket, and then we need to jostle the rear suspension so we can actually get it to reach the bracket, which is in behind here. So off we go. First thing to do is get this bracket on with an appropriate amount of shims. Now here are the shims that were on this when I got it. That's quite a lot. So in the previous video, which I'll try and remember to link, I adjusted the bodywork because the body wasn't square on the chassis, hence why this has so many shims. can see there's a mixture of original shims and more modern style ones. So given I have moved the body a good 10mm backwards on this side, if not more, I'm going to start out with just the original shim pack. Pretty much the same as what I did on the other side, and I will have to drive the car a little bit to get everything to settle and bring it back in and do wheel alignment, and hopefully I'll get around to doing a video on that. I've devised a method. So I'll start off by sorting out my bolts. This car, doesn't seem to be standard, has capsulated nuts on the inside of the cabin where these bolts go into. So what I'm going to do is a flat washer and a spring washer on the bolt head side. So it gets retained. I tend to like, when I'm being organised, to set up all the bolts with their washers on them when I'm doing this sort of arrangement ahead of time, so I can just reach and grab them. Makes things a bit easier when you're fumbling around, particularly when you don't have a car lift. So, excuse the back of my head, but life's like that some days. Oh, before I put this in, I'll just show you something. You can hopefully see there, these brackets have a little tab on them to hold the head of the bolt that goes through, holding the radius arm. That obviously is there to stop the bolt head turning. I found on the other side these ones are far too far gone for that to be any use, but it does at least show you which way round they intended the bolt to go in.
While you watch me fumble around here, if you could consider subscribing to the channel on YouTube, it would be greatly appreciated. Obviously it helps me grow the channel and get it out to more people, and it doesn't cost you anything and lets you see more of my videos with ease. And if you're already subscribed, thank you very much.
Now I'm just going to check how far through the bolts are into the cabin. Yeah, so we've got a couple of threads clear there. So if I do need to add more shims, I will be increasing the length of these bolts. Right, and now torque this up. Torque for these is 32 foot-pounds. Into it. One. Two. And just check. Very good. Right. Now the next piece of the puzzle. 2 1/4 inch bolts for radius arms. goes in with the bolt head on the outside of the car, outer side. Now this end of the radius arm I am securing with a flat washer and a spring washer. I'm using just a regular nut. Once I've dialed in the toe, I will change these over to nylon nuts, as I will do at the other end. At this end obviously I need to take off to access those bolts to change the shims. Right, so I'll just quickly show you what we're dealing with. It's a slightly better angle. If I put you away so I can actually work. Alright, there we go. Now, as you can see, our radius arm does not reach because the suspension is sitting all the way at the bottom of its travel. So, this is where I bring the jack in. Jack up the suspension. Okay, so that didn't go quite to plan. The camera shut off while I was repositioning it. Oh dear, so what did you miss? Alright. I brought the jack in and I've put it in at this angle here to match with how the suspension was going to move when I jacked it up. So to bridge the gap that was between the bracket and the radius arm, I wanted the suspension to move in that direction, and also as the suspension rises, because it's on a swing type axle, it's going to move out a bit with the radius of the axle. So that's why we have the angle we have. So it's sitting slightly out towards the outside of the car and facing forwards, so the arm of the jack moves the cup in the way we want. And then it's just a then it's just a trick of raising and lowering the jack to get each end of the radius arm bush aligned with the holes. So the inside one first, get the bolt in and raise the jack to adjust the depth that the radius arm is in the bracket. To adjust the height the radius arm is in the bracket, that's just a block of wood and a hammer knocking it up and down. So that all got done, and now I'm ready to take it back off the jack. Safety note: as I'm jacking up the suspension, I got to the point where the car was raising off the axle stands, so if it's in that situation, make sure you don't go under the car, and also when you're lowering it back down off the jack, go nice and slowly and keep an eye on the axle stands. There we go. All done. I can put some wheels on now.